Channel open. Welcome back to WeeklyTrek, a proud member of the Tricorder Transmissions podcast network. I am your host, Alex Perry.
What's today's date? The date.
Today's show was recorded on July 1st, 2020. I can't believe 2020 is over half over. And is current through Star Trek Picard Season 1, so beware of spoilers. All right, let's get into the show.
Good day, Voyager, and welcome to A Briefing with Neelix. It's a catchy title, isn't it?
WeeklyTrek is a 30-minute news show covering the biggest stories from the Star Trek franchise. We are in a new golden age of Star Trek. There are 6 television shows in production, possibly more on the way, and enough merchandise to fill the Bajoran wormhole. So stick with me, and I'll help you sort the real facts from a lot of the Dominion propaganda that you'll find online. But I can't do this alone, and my guest this week is returning guest Jenn Tifft. Jenn, welcome back to WeeklyTrek.
Hi, Alex. Thanks for having me back.
Well, I had to have you back on this week because it's very rare that someone on my show gives a wish or a theory, and that wish or theory then comes true.
Oh, my goodness.
And one of your WeeklyTrek, I guess it was a wish in this case, has come true. And so we are just going to bypass right by what we're feeling good about Star Trek this week because it will become obvious momentarily, as we are now, as of recording, 5 weeks and 1 day away from new Star Trek being back on our TV screens again. So with that, let's turn to the week's top stories.
There's a war going on, and I'm a reporter.
Yes, so this was a surprising one, but Jenn, you called it. The next Star Trek show on air will not be Discovery Season 3, as many were expecting. It will, in fact, be Star Trek Lower Decks, which will premiere in the US and Canada on August the 6th. As I said, a short 5 weeks and 1 day from the day we record this. By the time you hear this, it will be about 4.5 weeks away. The show will premiere Thursday, August 6th on CBS All Access and on CTV Sci-Fi Channel and Crave TV in Canada. Unfortunately, no announcements yet about international distribution at this time. Fingers firmly crossed this doesn't turn into another short trek situation and that there will be news coming soon on that. We did not get any footage today, but maybe that's not surprising, as Mike McMahon's other animated show that premiered this year, Solar Opposites, over on Hulu, did actually not have a trailer until just a couple of weeks before the show premiered. So 5 weeks away, there's still plenty of time for us to get a trailer for Lower Decks. But we did get a very cool piece of poster art that did give us a look at the California class USS Cerritos, the main ship in Star Trek Lower Decks. And this is an audio medium, so I will do my best to describe the ship to you. And I think it was TrekCore who put it best when they basically said it's like the love child between a Nebula-class starship and an Oberth-class starship. Basically take that sort of Galaxy-class-esque saucer, have 2 nacelle pylons sticking out of it with nacelles on the end, and then a deflector dish in between the 2 nacelles. I actually think it looks very cool. It looks very appropriate for the sort of ship that they're on in Lower Decks. You know, it's supposed to be sort of the least important ship in the fleet. And in addition to getting a look at the ship, we also got quite a delightful tagline for the show as a whole, which is rarely going where no one has gone before. Well, Jenn, we only have, as I say, 5 weeks and 1 day until the premiere of Star Trek Lower Decks. You must be feeling very excited.
Oh, I'm thrilled. Yeah, my wish was that we'd get Lower Decks before Discovery Season 3, just because I need some comedy right now. I need it. And I think that's a perfect summertime treat. Ice cream, you know. Is what it seems like. It's going to be a big bowl of ice cream, you know, comfort food, and you know, oh, perfect for this. And I'm thrilled. I love everything I've seen. I love the design of the ship. I think it's perfect for it's a working ship, you know. It's just like a working horse, which I think it's perfect for what it is. And I love the poster. I love the tagline's adorable. You know, everything about it is just bodes well for the tone, the design, you know, the looks, the actors, everything I know about the actors. I'm thrilled about every little piece of this, and I can't wait. It seems like we've been waiting for a long time.
It does feel like we've been waiting for a long time.
We're just talking about this. It seems like it's been forever since there have been new Trek. I automatically got spoiled again, with Discovery and Picard. And we were talking, it's been what, Alex, about 4 months since the last episode?
Yeah, by the time Lower Decks premieres, it will have been 4 months. Okay. And we're already like, that is way too long to wait between new Star Trek.
Right, I just can't. I need it. I need my fix.
Says the fans who went from 2005 to 2017 to a full 12 years with nothing on the air. And now we can't make it through 4 months without serious withdrawal problems.
I'm just, I'm getting it while I can.
All right, so question for you.
Yes.
The USS Cerritos has kicked off, or I guess it has renewed a vigorous debate amongst the fandom that dates all the way back to Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, where in the Oberth class ship, it is actually quite unclear how crewmen get between the saucer section and the drive section. If the USS Cerritos were to suffer a deflector malfunction that required the crew to service it, how do you think they make repairs?
Well, I've spent a lot of time crawling around power plants, and I happen to know that there are a very wide array of access corridors and staircases and, access points and all sorts of weird little places that you have to crawl in to get access to the equipment you need to fix. And that happens, I'm sure, in every industry. And I've sometimes you need even to wear special harnesses to get to certain equipment. And that's just how it is. So I'm sure there's some sort of Jeffries tube or a turbo lift, but like a maintenance turbo lift, or rig the old staircase even, who knows? But there's some way that they can access those points. It might not be glamorous or are very user-friendly, but they can access it. Just got to use your imagination a little bit, I think.
Well, if anything, I think, this show being what it is, it's comedy, but it's a comedy that takes Star Trek seriously. In some ways, it feels like they put the shit together in this way
on purpose,
precisely so that they could do jokes around that.
Absolutely. They're so aware of everything they do. You can already feel it. This isn't an accident.
Right.
This ship's designed like this. And I think we are. I think we're going to see a lot of maybe sight gags of that sort of thing. The lower deck people having to do some not so glamorous jobs on the ship, and that might be one of them. Maybe it's like, I gotta climb all the way down to the nacelles again,
Get all the way down to the deflector dish, and make it fun.
Right. Oh yeah. I bet you $1 million that it will be a joke and we will see it happen. And they're definitely aware of that when they made that design. It's great. It's just another thing that bodes well for this show.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Well, it's 5 weeks away. We're just entering July, and we know we've got San Diego Comic-Con virtual edition coming up later this month. Mm-hmm. It seems to me like the logical place for us to get a trailer would be at some kind of virtual San Diego Comic-Con panel. Do you think that makes sense?
Right. You said too, that's a couple of weeks before the premiere, and you said that tracks with his other animated show, and yeah, that would be wonderful. I think that's a great way to make Trek a big part of that too. Like a lot of people I think would be interested. I think I think they'd be very smart to do that. I think that'd be a way to get normal people interested in.
Totally.
I hate saying that way. I just mean people that aren't as zoned into every new thing in Trek as we are, I should say.
Well, and maybe also some Star Trek fans too. I mean,
right.
Things like Picard, Picard was massive because it was a return of Sir Patrick Stewart. Discovery was massive because it was the first TV show back on the air in 12 years. But Lower Decks is now the third up. It's a 30-minute comedy. It's a bit different from what we as Star Trek fans are used to in this situation. Not that that's a bad thing. I 100% embrace it. I think, we've got nearly 800 hours worth of Star Trek thus far. Let's embrace something a bit different. But doing something at San Diego Comic-Con to introduce the show a bit more, to show us maybe a little footage, maybe even do a version of what they did at San Diego Comic-Con last year and sort of roll out a couple of the maybe legacy characters that we think might make an appearance in the show, since that's been very strongly hinted, in the same way that we got the trailer for Picard and it had Seven and Data.
Oh my God, I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I mean, just what an absolutely incredible moment. I mean, you could have something similar for Lower Decks as well.
Yeah, but do you want to go that direction, or do you want to make it just be, because there are a lot of fans of just adult animation shows too that might not be as like Star Trek fans. So it depends on who their target audience is for a trailer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, the possibilities of who of the legacy characters that could be in this show are all of them are exciting. I can't wait to find out.
Oh, very, very exciting. Well, 5 weeks and 1 day to wait. And even less by the time you hear this.
I just love having something to look forward to.
Oh, in these times.
Right now, yes.
What more can you ask for?
Right. And then after that, so now that we know the timing for Lower Decks, we can speculate on the timing for Discovery Season 3.
Yes. Well, that is my theory. That my favorite thing to do is to speculate on when various shows will I do not have an exact date, but I do have a month.
Okay.
I have two options. We'll talk about it when we get there. But we will learn more about Lower Decks in the weeks ahead. But let's shift our attention now to Star Trek Picard and the latest confirmation of a returning character to the show. So in this case, it is Gates McFadden, who played Dr. Beverly Crusher in Star Trek The Next Generation, following LeVar Burton's almost confirmation of a Picard Season 2 role in May, and Whoopi Goldberg's almost confirmation of a Picard role in January. Gates McFadden is the latest Next Generation star to offer a non-confirmation confirmation that the chances are pretty good that we will see Beverly Crusher in the show. She was doing an interview with Trek Movie in advance of one of these virtual GalaxyCon panels that have been going on over the last couple of months, sort of virtual sort of convention panels that have featured a number of Star Trek actors. So she was doing an interview with Trek Movie beforehand, and she says, well, I don't know, there's a good chance, let's put it that way, but I have no contract signed. And I'm sure if she did, she wouldn't have said anything at all. So I think, this is not all that different from what we have heard before about there being really strong chance that all the members of the Next Generation cast would be making an appearance in the show. But for Gates herself, I think this is the furthest she has gone in saying that she anticipates that she will be returning to Picard at some point. Trek Movie also asked whether the Picard-Crusher relationship could factor back in. And that's an area where Gates gives a bit more of a mixed reaction. She says, I think that Patrick made a decision at some point that he was opening it up to other relationships in the show and in the movies, certainly. So I can't imagine that it's suddenly going to be different, but it doesn't mean there's not a relationship there. Obviously, from all of our scenes, there is a relationship, and that's great. So who knows? I have no clue, but it would be lovely. So I think, for those fans who are maybe hoping that there was a marriage at some point in the 2 decades between Star Trek Nemesis and the premiere of Star Trek Picard, Gates seems to think that maybe that's not on the cards, but she's not a writer for the show, nor is she a producer, and so that doesn't necessarily mean anything in terms of the relationship between Picard and Crusher whenever we see the two again on screen. Jen, what do you think about that point? Would you like there to have been more of a relationship between Picard and Crusher, between Nemesis and Picard, or would you be fine with them sort of just having remained very good friends?
I'm not a big, no offense, I apologize, but I'm not a big Beverly Picard shipper myself.
Would you describe yourself as Team Vash, Team Nella Darren, or Team Anij?
Honestly, I am team everybody and nobody. If I had to pick one, I'm team team Famke Janssen.
Oh yes, as a
Kamala. Yes,
Kamala, yeah.
Yes, I'm team. If I'm anyone, I'm team Kamala. I'm also a flitter with Team Vash. But I really just think I don't think Picard is the settling down kind of man, and I just that's just not. I just don't think that's like in the cards for him. But I enjoy all those relationships at the time for certain aspects, but with Beverly Crusher, it's different. I think they have a history. They're a part of each other's story. And, and even if they did post Nemesis in this timeline, maybe they did have a marriage. It obviously ended in divorce the same way it did in the All Good Things timeline, because we haven't heard a word about her, since. So I don't particularly find that very interesting, whether or not they did or not, you know what I mean? Because I'm more interested in their relationship now. And I think all the people we see are going to be helping Picard somehow, or like, because how else would they end up being in the show, versus, like, oh, I need this specific thing that only my good old friend Beverly Crusher knows how to get, like we need like something from Starfleet Medical, because she's a big deal. She didn't just go away and tend to vineyards like Picard. I don't see that happening for her. I see her like diving headfirst into big things and just, in her career. She's probably running Starfleet Medical, right now. So it's obviously like, oh, we need this. I bet we can call Beverly Crusher and she can help us, and the same thing with like Geordi, and they'll find ways to broken, but I don't think there's going to be like a big romantic storyline between her and Picard. I don't know. Maybe it'd be nice to have like a little scene where they acknowledge it. I feel for the shippers. I would like them to have maybe a little remember when kind of scene would be fun. But I don't know. I don't think that's what Picard, the show Picard, is about. I want to see her. I want to see them all back. Like you mentioned, Geordi and Guinan and everyone. But as far as romance goes, I'm not so into that, personally.
Well, speaking of Jean-Luc Picard and the actor who plays him, Sir Patrick Stewart, Sir Patrick has announced this week, and a formal announcement came out from Simon & Schuster, that he is writing a memoir, which he's actually never done before. A lot of the Star Trek actors, particularly from the original series, at some point have written an autobiography or a memoir. Sir Patrick has never done that. If you follow him on social media, you will know he was doing for a long time. Once COVID-19 sort of kicked up and we went into lockdown, he started doing these short daily videos where he would read a Shakespearean sonnet. And then about 3-4 weeks ago, he said, I've got to take a break because I'm working on a project and I'll be back in a little bit. And then the sort of gap went on and on and on. Well, he actually restarted his sonnets yesterday and explained at the top of his first returning sonnet video why he had been off. And it's that he wanted to make progress on writing this memoir, which, as I say, has now been formally announced. He said, the idea of writing a memoir based on my life and career has been in my mind for several years, but always the demands of work have pushed it into the background. Today, there are no demands, nor is there a prediction when there might be. I am caught in the middle of shooting a new series, Star Trek Picard, and I passionately want to see it through. But in the meantime, what? Well, I have a beautiful study in our house in Los Angeles, sunny and peaceful. I am 80 in a little over 2 weeks' time. I have just treated myself to a gorgeous office chair, and I have time. But most important, I am loving what I am doing, even though I never thought that I would or could. So this is very exciting. Everybody's finding a way to fill the time during lockdown, and apparently Sir Patrick has decided to dedicate some of that time to writing a memoir, and I can't wait to read it. Jen, do you think you'll pick this one up?
Oh, absolutely. He's a wonderful person and a fascinating man. He's lived a fascinating life. I mean, what a career. I'm interested in the other aspects besides Star Trek.
Yeah.
To learn more about him. He's great and I just adore him. And mentioned the article, him even, talking about things like his childhood and things like that. And I find a lot of parallels with my childhood and his. So I'm interested in that aspect of it too. And he's just wonderful. So yeah, that's going to be a pickup as soon as it is released for sure. That's a pre-order.
Well, no release date yet. He's obviously only just started writing it. We don't even have a title, but looking forward to more information about Sir Patrick Stewart's autobiography. Yeah, he's talked quite movingly at length about his childhood at conventions over the years. And so be interested to sort of read more about his perspective on that, particularly now being at a later stage in his life and that being, you know, him being quite distant from what sounded like a really troubled upbringing. And then, you know, obviously love to hear more about his thoughts and reflections on his Star Trek experience and on some of the other experiences in his life, like the many years he spent at the Royal Shakespeare Company, the X-Men movies.
Oh, I didn't even think of that, the X-Men movies.
And it does sound like from the announcement of the book that he does plan to sort of cover everything. It's not just sort of like, you know, some folks when they write these sort of books choose to focus on just a portion of their life or a particular set of work that they did, but this does sound like it will sort of run the gamut of his life and career, which is very exciting.
Yeah, it is. And in his video, he even dared to call it an autobiography, which bode well. Because when I heard him say that word, I was like, ooh, that's more than just a memoir, you know?
Totally.
This is like spanning, this is a larger volume, which, you know, we might have to wait a little bit longer for it to come out, but I think it's going to be really a fascinating read. So awesome.
And our last story this week is an opportunity for you, if you are in the US or Canada, to win a walk-on role in Star Trek Picard. Well, we don't know when season 2 of Picard will be going in front of the cameras because of the dreaded COVID-19 pandemic. However, when the cameras do finally roll on season 2 of Picard, it might feature you. So CBS have joined the All In Challenge, which is a charity drive of athletes, sports teams, and celebrities to raise money for COVID-19 relief. The funding that's raised through this charity drive goes to Feeding America, Meals on Wheels, the World Central Kitchen, and No Child Hungry. Effectively, it's sort of like Omaze is another version of this, where you donate money, and the more money you donate, the more chances you have of winning. So the prize on offer is a set tour of the Star Trek Picard sets, an opportunity to meet Sir Patrick Stewart and to go into hair and makeup and get yourself into a shot, whatever they're shooting when you happen to be there. So you go on and it's a minimum of $10 donation, and then each dollar above that nets you one additional entry up to $100, which is the max number of entries. You can obviously donate as much more than $100 as you want to, but you max out at 100 entries to the contest. It's obviously all very dependent on whenever Star Trek Picard Season 2 ends up going back before the cameras, but the Star Trek fan community has never shied away from raising money for a good cause, and this one comes with a cool opportunity as well to get yourself into a Star Trek production so that Jim Morehouse is no longer the only one from our extended circle who can claim a cameo on Star Trek. In addition to the charity sort of contest entry drive, there is also an auction for the same opportunity. It closes probably once this goes out in only a couple of days. So if you are really interested in the auction phase, get yourself over to the All In Challenge right now. The minimum bid, though, is $10,000. And somebody has already bid the minimum. So you've got to be ready to go in with a higher bid in order to secure yourself that set visit, the walk-on role, and the chance to meet Sir Patrick Stewart. If you don't have a cool $10,000 lying around to donate to a good cause, that's okay. I don't have $10,000 to donate to a good cause. You can use the contest entry and make your smaller donation that way. And you have until July 22nd in order to enter the contest. Jen, I have made my donation because I'd really love to get a walk-on role on Star Trek. Is this something that interests you?
Yeah, of course. Of course it does. And I already put my entry in.
Of course you did. I mean, if you have the ability to do it, you know, if you've got a spare $100 lying around or more or less, as long as, you know, $10 still gets you an entry, gets you 10 entries into the challenge, like, why not? It's for a good cause, and there's always the possibility of something more.
All the charities that you're donating to, if you look at them, they're all on the up and up. They're all really good charities with high charity ratings, you know. So and obviously for a great cause. So yeah, so it's good that way. It's obviously the prize you could win is invaluable, and it's also, you know, it gives it gives me something to dream about for another month until I find out I didn't win and somebody else did. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it's a win-win-win all around. So yeah, but it is a bummer that it's only open to US and Canada. They've been our poor international fans between this and not having a Lower Decks announcement.
Yeah.
But for those who are eligible, it's a great thing.
Well, Jen, I will keep my fingers crossed for you, but I will keep my arms, legs, toes, and fingers crossed for myself, if that's okay.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of fingers. I'll keep one crossed for you, one for one for me, one for all of our buddies on Twitter. Even if it's not me, like I would love for it. I just want the winner to be someone who will appreciate it the same way that I would. You know, and I want to see it. I want like a video or an article about what their experience was like and how excited they were and how much fun they had. And so I'm looking forward to that. I really hope that, whoever does win it is someone who will appreciate it. If you're doing it this way, more like a raffle, it's not one that you would enter unless you were really interested in the prize,
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some other ways, isn't there a story about someone who won for Next Gen and took the cash?
Yes,
value?
in the early days.
It makes me want to cry.
It was like a cereal box thing.
Yeah, if you're doing a cereal box thing, that's not, this is going to filter it for, that whoever's going to win is someone who wants that prize. So we don't have to worry about that happening.
I too hope that it's somebody who appreciates it, but I hope that it's me more.
And you would. We know how much you would appreciate it too. So yeah, I would be extremely happy for you, and for me too. If I won.
Of course. Just not as happy as I would be if it was me. All right. Well, we've talked about the facts, and now let's speculate on what's going to happen in the future of Star Trek.
You make some very good points, Captain. But it's still all speculation and theory.
So each week, I and my guests give you a wish or theory we're nurturing about Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, the future of the franchise. So Jen, let's hear your theory or wish for this week.
All right. So, all I'm thinking about is Lower Decks.
Hell yeah.
So I've got a wish and a theory. And
let's go for it.
They're both silly. It's all silly things. So
that is this whole section, Jen.
Good. Well, okay. So the wish is that the very first episode of Lower Decks includes a send-off cameo, as in the tradition of the other series.
Yeah.
I was very bummed we didn't get that with Discovery, because I thought that was such a nice little tradition to have someone from another series, kind of send them off on their adventure. And so my wish for Lower Decks is that we have something like that in the first episode.
Do you think you would want it from the most recent show in the timeline, which would be Voyager, or would you want it to be like the last show which was on air, which would be more like Picard?
Ooh. Man, well, the timeline it's in, it would have to be Voyager, right? Yeah.
So who would you pick? It's Dr. McCoy for the Next Generation. It's Picard for Deep Space Nine, and it's Quark for Voyager. Who are you going for Lower Decks? Oh, and I guess for Enterprise it was Zefram Cochrane.
Yeah, and then we had Zefram Cochrane. Yeah, Captain Kim, Commander something Paris. Yeah. I don't know, Kim. I'm enjoying. You know what I'm enjoying? I'm enjoying the Delta Flyer podcast.
Oh yeah, Garrett Wang and Robbie Duncan McNeil.
Yeah. So actually seeing one of those two guys back would actually be kind of cool because they're both good guys.
Yeah, I would like that too. And they're both, well, Garrett Wang's back doing acting again, but Robbie Duncan McNeil's a full-time director now. Doesn't seem to have a huge interest in acting, but like a voice role would be perfect.
Right? Why not? But that's my wish.
Yeah. So what's the theory?
And then I just a silly theory that a lot of people talk about how the Discovery has this very talented vocal cast, their cast are good singers, and we should see more singing. And my theory is that we're going to see some singing in Lower Decks.
That would be fun.
Tawny Newsom's in a band.
Yep.
And Noelle Wells has an album out, and she sang in some of her previous voice work she's saying. I know her from Elena of Avalor. Because that's what I watch now. But so she's done some singing there, and I think we might see some downtime, some funny, like a scene or two of some more singing on Star Trek, which is always good to see, in my opinion. So,
maybe a few bars of Beyond Antares.
Oh, that would be beautiful. But not funny though.
Not funny. No, but I also think that that one of the things, and like one of the things that they can have fun with is, the sort of next generation, like everyone's always going to a concert and 10 forward to listen to classical music type thing. Like it would be fun for them to sort of play with that a little bit.
Yes. We already know they have margarita happy hour in the cargo bay.
Yep. I'm down for that.
I'm down for that. What's the lower decks version of like a cello concert?
Exactly.
We'll have to find out.
And will they play poker? Time will tell.
Oh man, yes. Oh, so exciting.
Okay, so my theory, were you my guest when I gave my July 23rd theory for premiere of Star Trek Discovery? Okay, so I would just like it known for the record, I was off by 2 weeks for the premiere of the next Star Trek show.
That's good.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
So I was only I got the wrong show and I was off by 2 weeks. But for one of my theories, that's actually like as close to the bullseye as I've gotten. So now that begs the question, all right, well, if Lower Decks is starting August the 6th, when will we see Discovery Season 3? Because we almost certainly will not see it for the entirety of Lower Decks Season 1, because they wouldn't run 2 Star Trek shows concurrently.
Especially now.
Yeah. So I think there are 2 options for those who are wondering, then when am I going to get to see Discovery Season 3? So I think the 2 options are this. 1, Discovery Season 3 premieres in like mid to late October. 10 weeks of Lower Decks beginning in early August pretty much pushes you out to early October, which means you could see Discovery on the air as early as late October. And then I think if you did that, what you probably would have would be like Season 1 of Discovery, where they did half of the season before the holidays and then picked up the remainder of the season in January, just because you really get to like the show sort of ending around Christmas otherwise. And they don't seem to like doing the stuff around Christmas. Like the only thing they've really done around Christmas was a couple of short treks. So a split in half Season 3 around the holidays of 2020, and I think the or will depend a lot on when they can get production going, particularly back up in Toronto on Discovery and Strange New Worlds / Section 31 with coronavirus going on. Canada's been doing, it seems like so far, a much better job of controlling COVID-19 than California has. So I think Star Trek Picard is probably on a slower timeline than the Toronto productions are. But if we're not looking at filming taking place until the fall, late fall, maybe even if they can't pick things up until early next year, I think in that scenario, they would hold Discovery Season 3 until January of 2021, because it's less an issue of what's in the can right now, and it's more an issue of what are you even going to get in 2021 with half of 2020 gone and only Discovery Season 3 having filmed, right? Picard was supposed to have been 1 month into filming right now. They would have had 2-3 episodes in the can. If these were normal times and would be on course for a January premiere, Discovery Season 4 would be getting ready to ramp up in the fall. Star Trek Strange New Worlds would be getting ready to ramp up. But the more months go by with no filming, the more time in 2021, we're definitely not getting any new Star Trek, just because of the necessary turnaround time to actually film the thing and then do the post-production. So you could theoretically see them saying, all right, 2020 will be Picard and Lower Decks Season 1. 2021 will be Discovery Season 3 early, with the intent of maybe, if they can, getting a show back on the air by late 2021, like a Picard Season 2, like even a Discovery Season 4, but that with the danger that you could potentially have 2021 effectively a total wipe, that they would hold a show back so that you at least had one thing then, like we had one thing last year, which was Discovery Season 2. Jen, which of those options do you think is most likely?
Oh man, well, that was just a huge bummer, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know, it was a little depressing. But it felt like I wanted to break it to people now, since we were on this high of there being a new show only a few weeks away.
And you know what? And I want everyone to be safe. I want them to put it off. Like we joke about, oh no, we're waiting so long for Trek, but dude, like I'll wait. Stay safe. keep everyone safe. Do what you got to do. Yeah, but based on that, I it would have made sense for them to split it, half and half. But I personally think they're just going to wait till January and do the do the January premiere for Discovery Season 3. Because why would you push it?
I guess you probably will get the Nickelodeon show in 2021 too, because that, like Lower Decks, doesn't require a massive amount of sort of in-person time in order to get it finished. I think that's honestly why Lower Decks has slid up and Discovery Season 3 has slid back, is because it's easier to get the animation ready in a COVID-19 world than it is the live action stuff. So we'll probably get one of the, either Lower Decks Season 2 late next year, or because we know they're starting working on that right now, or the Season 1 of Cough Cough Star Trek Prodigy, Cough Cough, next year as well. But on the live action front, Discovery Season 3 so far seems to be the only game in town.
I don't think they'll even worry about overlapping with the Nickelodeon show, because they consider it a different audience.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Nickelodeon show even going to be on CBS All Access?
I think it may end up being, once they relaunch CBS All Access, as being this like Viacom CBS wide kind of product, because they do want to put more Nickelodeon stuff on there, but its native home would be Nickelodeon. Yeah,
but then I think we'd get Picard Season 1 and Lower Decks 2020, 2021, Discovery Season 3, maybe Lower Decks Season 2, and probably the Nickelodeon show, which is still...
That's decent.
That's
still plenty to look forward to.
Yeah. I mean, I want everything.
I want it all. I want it now.
That's right. But yeah, I do want it now, but I definitely want everyone to be safe. So yeah,
absolutely.
I'll deal with the 700 plus hours of Star Trek that I have.
We did 12 years. We can do one more.
That's right. Yeah, but there's a lot coming down the pipe once they can start
there is.
filming again. Oh man. But the one thing we do know is August 6th.
August 6th, my birthday present for me.
That is awesome. What a birthday present, man. We got to have a big piece of cake, and watch the show. Oh,
and a margarita.
Oh my God. You know what? You just said it. I'm totally making margaritas. That is perfect. That's the perfect treat for summertime intro, let alone the fact that that's their drink. That's
precisely.
Awesome. Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, yes.
I wish I could invite everyone over to my house for margaritas on August 6th. That's
socially distanced.
I know, right? Maybe we can get on FaceTime.
Exactly.
Have a Zoom meeting.
Yeah. Everything's a Zoom meeting these days. Do you have a theory or a wish for Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, or the future of the franchise that you'd like to share? Tweet them to me at WeeklyTrek, and I might feature your theory in a future episode. Well, that's all the time we've got for this episode of Weekly Trek. Thank you so much to my guest, Jenn Tifft, for joining me today. Jen, how can people contact you if they want to continue the conversation?
Yes, please do. I'm on Twitter. I'm at Eda Quarks, and I also have a podcast, Snap Trek, and you can find that on Twitter as well, at Snap Trek.
And a little birdie tells me there is a humdinger of an episode coming up.
There is. We have a very, very special guest coming up on the next episode of Snap Trek. And just wait until you hear his lyrical recap of the episode. I'm still laughing about it days later. I recorded it a few days ago, and I'm still laughing about it. So yeah, well, there might be a little Weekly Trek Snap Trek crossover in the future.
Oh yes, and it was so much fun.
It was great.
And you can find this show on Twitter at WeeklyTrek and me at Alexander T. Perry. And if you enjoy the show, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on your podcast player of choice. And please check out some of the other great shows on the Tricorder Transmissions. And if you like our shows, please also consider becoming a Patreon of Tricorder, which you can find at patreon.com/the Tricorder Transmissions. And lastly, if you're looking for Star Trek news on the internet, I hope you will turn to trekcore.com. Well, thank you, Jen. Thank you to all of my listeners. And until next week, live long and prosper.